Okay, let's go.
Alright guys, welcome into the Planted Tank Addictions Fish Room. So in this video we're going to be going over how I attacked making a Paludarium from scratch. So what we did is we took a 10-gallon aquarium, and what you see above is what we're trying to accomplish. Hopefully a little better. Now in this first little part we're gonna scrape away the excess silicone that it was left over from this piece of glass that we got out of a 29-gallon aquarium. The 29-gallon aquarium had the bottom bust out of it, so I didn't know what else I could do with it. Instead of just throwing it away, I figured might as well repurpose it for something else. So in this process, we took 3 attempts at cutting the glass before we got the cut that we actually needed. We're not professionals, all right? I want you guys to remember this. These are the tools that we used to get the job done. So here I'm just measuring to make sure I cut the glass, measure a couple times, cut once. In this case, we may have cut a few more times than we had to. So right here I'm just getting a straight edge set up so I can have something to drag the little glass cutting tool along, so I don't veer off and make a wrong cut. Now mind guys, keep this in mind that I'm no expert at cutting glass, but we can get it done, alright? Now in this first cut, I didn't know it, but you're only supposed to go over your cut once, maybe twice. The more you go over it, the more you fracture that edge. This first attempt was kind of a fail. We tried breaking it, it wouldn't do nothing. I thought maybe if we moved it off the edge of the table a little bit, tried tapping from the underneath. Nope, still didn't work. Back to cutting. And this is where I messed up on my first cut. So what you're not supposed to do is exactly what I'm doing right now. And that really messed up this piece of glass. So I had to, you'll see in a second, scrap it completely and start with a new piece. So remember, never go over your cut more than once, alright? And I think I did in every single cut I did, went over it more than once. Alright, we're seeing it here. Boom, there was a little crack. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Bummer. Fractured it a little bit. Good thing we have a whole 29-gallon aquarium to trial with, right? Alright, we're just going to take a little half-inch off this, trying to get that fracture that came off the edge to eliminate itself. Now again, we're just clamping down the straight edge, putting a little oil on there. And here we messed up again. Boom. Don't do that, guys. Don't go back and forth. Alright, so this one, we had a little bit help from our live guest we had a live running. That's where this footage is from. And we were told to flip the glass over and apply pressure from the opposite angle. That helped a lot, but problem being, I took the cutter back and forth, so it didn't provide that edge, the straight, clean cut that it needed. It fractured all over different angles and stuff, so we're gonna have to scrap that piece. We're gonna grab the other half. Now this half is from when we cut this piece in half, so we're just gonna have to make sure that when we cut for the width that we cut that label off. Now remember, we had a live guest helping us on this a little bit, so they told us not to cut it as much. Nobody at this point has told me not to cut back and forth, but we did a lot less this time. So here's the attempt we're gonna have. Let's see. Tink, tink, tink. Sorry about the arm in the way, guys. Oh, we got a fracture there, but not right where we wanted it. It's fracturing off to the edge. Bummer. Looks like we're gonna have to cut back a little bit. It fractured. So now I was getting a little antsy. Some people were telling me to cut, but don't cut too much. Now, so I did this again. We didn't put nowhere near as much pressure, but we went one time back and forth, flipped the piece of glass over, put our pressure that we needed, started our little taps. Then I realized maybe I ought to cut the rest of that label. Tap, tap, tap. Boom. Started to crack. Look at that. Ka-chow, baby. I think that's the best one yet. Boom. I think we can get a little sanding on that, and that piece will be perfect. So now all we got to do is make sure that we have our right measurement for the width, and hopefully we don't mess this one up. This one we have to have perfect, so we measured it a bunch. There's another little sneak peek of something like what we're trying to create here. Don't cut it. Back and forth. Oh. Alright. We'll see, guys. Let's see if it works. It did, and that little sliver, at least it went off the other way, so some sandpaper can fix that. We're gonna try tapping it off a little bit, messing it around a little bit with it, but eventually we decide enough. The piece looks good. We don't want to have to take another piece of glass out of the tank. Took me a few seconds to realize that, hey dude, this is a good piece, just sand it away. I was pretty determined to get that off there. There, I got a little piece off. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Alright. Dude, you're gonna have to stop. Thank you. Now, guys, remember when you're using this sandpaper, keep it wet. Keep it wet. Keep it wet. You do not want to be breathing in any of this glass. Also, you don't want any heat to build up on the edge of this glass. Plus, you don't want any sharp edges, so make sure you guys sand this down good, alright? Now we're going to lay it in here and make sure it fits. it fit, but we had to do a little sanding on the one edge where that little corner broke. Didn't sand it down quite enough. Also, keep in mind that this is going to be a part 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't know how many series, but I want your guys' input what we should do with this. I have in mind right now white cloud minnows and I don't know, some sort of a little tree frog or something living up in the top. And we're gonna have a water fountain in it and stuff like that. Or should we do, instead of a water fountain, should we do a sand fountain to where it looks like it's an infinite sand just funneling out of it? Because those look pretty cool too. So we're just gonna keep sanding away. We sanded a little bit off that edge there. We noticed there was some silicone and some crud left on the 10-gallon tank. Now, we're gonna sand, and do some more sanding, alright? This was the best technique I discovered for sanding. Now, I don't know if it's correct, but this worked the best for me. I applied very equal pressure, and there was just that one nub that needed to be filed down. So I put basically, I was watching the sandpaper to see where that corner was dusting off, and it was just that far edge that was away from my hand. Now you're gonna notice me walking back and forth a couple times. That's just to get the correct fit on the glass. That little nub was giving us a lot of trouble. I'd say throughout this process, the one thing that I learned the most was don't go over your cut with the tool more than once, because that applies more fractures to the edge of the glass than you need. If you just go over it once, it puts the score in it and it'll break and follow that line and be tapped with the right pressure from the bottom side. Another thing I learned was sanding glass is not fun by hand, alright? It's not. So now guys, we're gonna clean this tank up a little bit, get it presentable. Now that we got the glass fitting right. So the concoction that I use to spray and clean out tanks is literally just water and peroxide, guys. I use 3% peroxide. I mix it 10-to-1 with water. We just seen a couple little pieces of crud left over we had to scrape off. Try to get this glass as clean and presentable as we can. So now we're gonna prep this for silicone. We're gonna get all the edges all cleaned up, make sure everything's clean, and there's no obstructions from where we're gonna set the glass. Now we're going to do this from the back side so you guys can see on the inside of the tank. Now the caulk that we used is just a marine land aquarium sealant. It was a little clogged up on us from the last time we used it, so it gave us a little trouble for the first couple tries, but eventually we got the clog out of there and it started working. So now I'm gonna put it up there. My goal is just drag it so it's one consistent seam, and then I go back, take my finger, rub the edge so it's 45s basically around the inside. Makes it like concave on the corner. Now it's time to place the piece of glass that we cut in. We're gonna mark the top of the tank right there with the 2 pieces of tape that you guys can see. Now that was for our visual, so we knew where we had to run the caulk up to. And as you see, I moved it off already. Didn't even put the caulk on. So we held the glass up there to get our measurement. And ba-boom, glass is installed. If you guys made it this far, thank you, and press that subscribe button because you guys are going to want to see part 2 of this video.